Here's a video about layers in Edgecam, which I think is a really fundamental thing to using it properly. If you imagine that these layers, each one of them can individually show anything you want, so you can put anything on any layer. It's a bit like in the old days when we had drawings and we used to put tracing paper sheets on top of one another so that you could take away, I don't know, all the dimensions from a drawing and different sections so that you could just see what you wanted to see and it didn't clog your view. So, and it's the same on your screen. You don't want your screen filling up with everything. If you've got loads and loads of stuff on your screen, it's all switched on, you can't really see what you want to see at one point. So that's why we have layers, and these are them on the right. If I double click on something, this component for example, it will tell me what layer it's on there. I can give it a new layer, I can type it straight in there, sort of creating one on the fly. I'm going to call it part 1, and the layer manifests here on the left hand side. If I right click that and say show only, it will just show me that layer of that part. So looking at this right hand side, we've got create a new layer, show all, select to hide and refresh. If I wanted to create another new layer, I can say create me a new layer and call it part number 2 there. What I'm going to do then is show all the layers, click on that part there, double click it and drop down. There's my new layer there, I'll have that one. So now I've got part 1, show only, and I've got part 2, show. And they're my 2 layers that I've just created, so they're nicely separated out. So there's a show all, show everything. So these layers, always use a meaningful name for your layer. Call it anything you like, but make sure that when you come back to this Edgecam session in 5 years time, you know exactly what you're doing. And we all know that feeling. You look at your own CNC program or your own Edgecam program and think, what on earth was I doing here? Well, this is where it all helps, because these all have names and we know what they're doing. So what I'm going to do is, when you're working in an Edgecam part and you go into your simulation mode, all you really want to see is the stock and the part. So I always put them at the top. The way I do this is I frig this slightly. If I go properties, I'm going to change the name, put a space in front of it, and it puts it at the top, because the way this alphabetical index works is spaces take priorities over numbers and letters, so they go to the top. And my stock layer the same, properties, shove a space in there, and they're nicely at the top. So now I can easily click that one, hold down my shift key, click that one, right click, show only. I've got no stock so you can't see it, but that would be just the stock and the part showing. So I know exactly when I go into my simulation exactly what's showing on the screen, and that's how I would do it to get. I might even like this layer here, I might think I just want that out the way. I don't want to delete it, but I'm just going to, I'll make sure that it's at the bottom. Just stuff some Z's in there and that, make sure that's at the bottom. And I usually know that's a layer that it's got trash on it. Sometimes for some unknown reason you can't get rid of a layer, but that's a way of putting it at the bottom. Now if I say for example create a new layer, and I'm going to call it containment, because it's going to be a containment boundary for roughing, and I might be more specific than that, but that's a containment boundary for roughing, so I know exactly what it is. If I don't, then I'll just add a bit more. I'm going to extract some edges for my containment boundary. I always create icons for everything I use regularly. I suggest you do the same. If you watch my other video, it tells you how to do this. Geometry from edges, you might have to find the drop down. Geometry from edges, select edges to create a line, arc or continuous. So I'm going to have that one, that one, that one, that one. Okay. Now if I say show only, there it is. It doesn't matter if that layer's switched off. If you say show only, that's switched off now. do another extract from edges. It says the active layer is not visible. Doesn't matter, but you just won't be able to see what you're doing. I'm clicking on that, but then when I say OK, it's disappeared because it's actually there. So I can do that. But it will always put that onto the active layer, which you can make a layer active. This red mark means that's the active layer. You can make any layer active, but that is where anything you extract or whatever will go onto that layer. So if you double click a layer, that makes it the active layer. Right click, make active, it's the same thing. You can't delete the active layer, and if you try and delete, for example, that layer, delete, it says layers which contain entities cannot be deleted, because it won't delete a layer that's got anything on. Well, that's happy days really, because I want to get rid of all this rubbish. There's layers here and we all get this build up as we're working, because Edgecam creates its own layers that we don't want, and we don't want them cluttering up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click that one and my shift key, click that one. Hang on, it didn't work. Click that, shift key, click that. That's all the layers. I'm going to right click and I'm going to take advantage of the fact that it won't delete a layer that's got something on it. So I'm going to say delete, and it's going to come up with this warning for every single one. So I'm just going to hold down the return key, zonk, and everything's gone. So now all I've got is just the layers that have something on them, nicely ordered. If I had it did delete my stock layer as well, because I've created that stock layer, but it didn't have anything on it, so unfortunately it got rid of it. So I put space, stock, make me a new one, and there it goes up there. It's made it the active layer. So that's layers, that's how it works. Quite simple, play around with it, don't just take my word for it, learn your own stuff. There's loads of things around to find out about this. Keep an open mind, keep learning every day, that's what it's all about. Thank you very much indeed.